What's up, friends and strangers? Today I had the opportunity to hang out with Irish singer-songwriter Taylor D. We talked about everything from busking in Dublin, getting over 500,000 streams, and meeting Ed Sheeran. Check it out.
So here it goes.
So Taylor, tell me a little bit about your upbringing. When did you start playing and singing?
So as a kid, I never really liked music. Like I'd listen to it, but never sang or played anything. So at the age of 12, I was watching Jack Black's School of Rock one day and
Yeah.
decided that I really, really wanted to, play guitar. And now to my parents, after being in dancing, sports, all kind of sorts of activities for kids, I never really picked to them. So when then I said to them I wanted a guitar, they thought no way that they were going to give it to me. But eventually they gave in and they got me a guitar and I went to local guitar lessons and done the lessons for 6 weeks and then kind of moved up to the next level to kind of progress more with it. And then I joined a program called the Irish Youth Music Awards, which is a program that encourages young people to write their own music and then enter into a competition at the end of the year. And that kind of started me off writing songs. So it kind of all started when I was 12, 13.
That's very cool, and it's almost like you lived your own version of the movie,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
right? Um, so how did the awards go? Were there different age ranges? How did you place personally?
So it was basically like you'd join a group. So in my local area, they had a hub. So I joined, and then it'd be like a group of 5 or 6 people, maybe, and then a couple of different bands or solo acts and stuff. And you'd all perform on one night.
Hmm.
And then you would be chosen as the representative to go on then and represent your local group in the national event. So that would involve the whole of Ireland getting involved in it from all different places. And we'd all meet up there and then it'd be judged there. So I entered it in 2021, I think it was.
Okay.
And it was virtually, obviously, because it was COVID-19. So
Hmm.
we obviously had a pandemic and we were in lockdown. So we still took part in it online on Instagram and it ran through a public vote. So I put up a video and people commented and clicked like and stuff. And then following that public vote, I ended up winning that competition, which was kind of
Wow.
insane. I never
Yeah.
had expected to win or even place anywhere in like the top three, but to win was just insane.
Hmm. What's the first song that you remember learning?
Yeah, so it was guitar first, and I remember I was always a big Ed Sheeran fan, and
Okay.
one of the first songs that I wanted to learn, I think at the time was one of his biggest ones, which was Galway Girl, that had just come out, and that was always like from the minute I started lessons, I was trying to figure it out, and I
Hmm.
had two chords maybe that I
Yeah.
knew, and that song is obviously like 4 or 5 chords, so trying to figure that out. I remember there's a video actually of me when I was a kid trying to play it and thought I had it down to a T, but looking back on it, it's like so badly out of tune and it's just not right. So that was, but then I worked and worked and worked on it, and I eventually figured out how to play the whole song, and I thought I was like so cool because I knew how to play this one song on guitar. So yeah,
That's
that'd be
lovely.
probably the number one song and first song that I learned.
Yeah, very cool. And you had the opportunity to meet Ed Sheeran.
I did, yeah. I was very lucky during the summer. I was working backstage at Niall Horan from One Direction's 2 shows. He played 2 shows in
Hmm.
Dublin, and I was working backstage at that. And Ed Sheeran came out on night one, and they sang together. They sang one of Ed's songs. They sang Lego House, and then they sang a song that Ed wrote for One Direction back in the day, Little Things. And then afterwards, I was invited to go to the after party, which was kind of insane to be invited to, and was standing at the bar and was talking to Ed Sheeran and was basically just telling him that like I'm a musician myself and he was gonna give me advice and just a few tips and just how we, to keep going.
That's super cool. Uh, Everything I've seen, he seems extraordinarily down to earth, and
Oh,
had,
definitely. Yeah, he's so like he was so willing to stand and talk to me and like even he turned to me and he said, "Hi, I'm Ed." Like just like he was a normal person, not like Ed
right.
Sheeran, one of the biggest artists on the globe.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. So yeah, I guess just tell me a little bit about the music scene where you are. Are you in Dublin now?
Yeah, so I'm in Dublin currently. Yeah, I live here all the time, so I'm here
Okay.
most of the time. I was in London during the summer for a bit, but I'm in Dublin now.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So what is the music scene like there?
So there's a lot of artists in Dublin. There's a lot of like performance opportunities too, which is really, really great. Like there's lots of open mics and music showcases that musicians can kind of go and perform to.
Hmm.
And then there's lots of music colleges around as well. And obviously there is a lot of musicians and, great opportunities to kind of work with other musicians. So I'd say it's quite good here, the music industry.
Right on. Is it mostly featuring bands? Is it more solo artists? Is it really just a mix of everything?
You've kind of got a mix of everything. There is a lot of solo artists, but in the recent kind of last couple of years, I've seen a lot of bands kind of come up more now so than when I was starting out doing music about 4 or 5 years ago.
Hmm. Right on. Um, yeah, and any particular style that seems to be catching on or anything like
Yeah,
that?
it's predominantly kind of pop rock I'm seeing kind of creep up now. Whereas years ago it was kind of more, the Irish trad and kind of Taylor Swift kind of country era. But now I can kind of see the pop rock is kind of dominating the Irish radios currently.
All right, interesting. Yeah. Any particular bands that are just huge that I should know about?
Definitely picture this. They're an
Okay.
Irish band and they've kind of creeped up. They're really big now this year. They've released an album, so they're kind of really getting the top spots this year.
Right on. Very cool. I wonder, is Glenn Hansard from Ireland?
He is, yeah, he is from Ireland, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's probably the most Irish musician that I know. Love him, love the movie. Uh,
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's amazing.
hmm for sure. Do you do any busking kind of like he does in the movie?
I've done a bit of busking, yeah. I've done a lot of busking on Grafton Street, which is kind of probably the biggest street in Dublin to kind of do the busking. So I did a lot of that last year during the summer
Yeah.
because like I had so much free time. We had good weather last year, but this year we did not have the weather for busking. We had mostly rain,
Mm,
so I kind of steered back a little bit this year from the busking. But I really enjoyed it, like because it was, you're getting to play a lot of covers like every day, and you're meeting different people and meeting other buskers too, which I really enjoyed.
yeah. That's very cool. So when you're busking, are you typically playing guitar?
Yeah, mostly guitar, yeah, because it's kind of harder to bring, a piano or anything. And
Sure.
in Ireland, you're not allowed to use backing tracks in the streets either. So you're either
Interesting.
playing piano or guitar. Yeah, and you have to also pay for a busking license in Ireland as well. So it's 90
Okay.
euro a year to go out and play on the street.
Yeah, interesting. And do people come around and like actually ask to see your license? Do you have to have it displayed? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, you get given like a badge with like a lanyard attached to it, so it'll have your picture, your busking license, and the person who issued it, and then when it expires as well. So there's always people kind of going around checking them and making sure that you're not using one that's 4 or 5 years out of date.
Sure. Yeah. That's interesting. How much does a busking license cost?
So it's like 60 euros if you're going to just do just you and guitar, but if you
Yeah.
want to use any sort of amplification, it's 90 euros.
Oh, gotcha. Interesting. And so if you, I don't know, let's say you're a duo or a trio, everybody would have to have their own license
Yeah,
individually?
that's it. Like
Yeah.
if you're a band, even like
Hmm.
if there's four of you in a band together, every single one of you has to apply for it separately.
Interesting. Grafton Street, is that what you said it was?
Yeah, Grafton Street. Yeah, it's
Okay.
kind of the biggest kind of shopping street in
Yeah.
Dublin.
Is it more of a tourist area or is it more locals?
And it kind of be a mixture of both. I think a lot of tourists do want to see Grafton Street because obviously it is kind of the most famous street in
Sure.
Ireland next to O'Connell Street. But like I'd go there a lot, Grafton Street, just kind of to do shopping and stuff as well and just go out for food and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So having a chance to listen to your music, even the earliest stuff. I mean, you kind of came out the gate swinging. So especially considering that you didn't start songwriting until around that time, right? 2020, 2021.
Yeah, it would have been 2020, 21 when I started kind of really getting into it. I'd written a few kind of little bits, but not much beforehand. So
Hmm.
getting into it then, yeah.
Right on. So there is a video of you playing with a guy playing piano. Who was that?
So that was for a competition called the Ivory Session. So they basically do these things where you can go down and you record with them and they'll play one of your own original songs. And that was a guy called Mark Cahill. So he's based in the Ivory Session Studios, and I went down and he played my song, and then the two of us kind of worked together, and like it was unrehearsed. It was kind of just we went down. I had sent him the song before,
Hmm.
and then we just kind of jammed it out and just recorded it and put it up.
Staring at the TV screen, your gaze never leaving my eye. Wondering how it really be to have you by my side.
So it seems like there's several organizations that are actually actively involved in the music industry.
Lucky here that there is a lot. There's a lot of for music here. There is a lot, and there's a lot of kind of competitions, and even things for younger kids as well, which is
Yeah.
great. Like because you know, like you said yourself, there's not much of that around the world.
Have you had the opportunity to listen to, I guess, kind of the Irish punk music that's come out of the U.S. in the last 20-25 years?
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's definitely kind of like at the moment that's what I'm at now. I'm just kind of listening to as a broad range of music, trying to, to expand my horizons and evolve my sound and stuff. So yeah, I'll definitely gonna be giving a good listen to it now in the next couple of weeks. That's gonna be my main aim. But I have listened to a few bits before, and I think it's really, really cool. And I think it's great that other people are taking influence off the Irish trad, because a lot of Irish people don't even enjoy trad music, but there is a huge community over here that just love it. So it's great to see other people around the world picking up on our culture, and it's been like representing us in their own stylistic way.
yeah. Have you ever been to the U.S. before?
I have, yeah. I'm actually just back recently. I was in New York there about 3 or 4 weeks ago. But I
Right.
remember last time I was in, well, a couple of years ago, I was in New York and we went from New York to Florida, and it was like a 2 or 3 hour flight. And we
Oh
kind of
yeah.
couldn't believe that, because at home, it's like if you wanted to fly from to another place in Ireland, it would be maybe 20 minutes. So the size is insane.
Hmm. Yeah, that'd probably be about a 15-16 hour drive. So it's
Wow.
yeah. So your latest song, "Lost to London," you said that you spent some time in London this summer.
I did, yeah. I was over and back to London kind of a fair bit during the summer. I was there, I think,
Hmm.
4 or 5 times this year, and just kind of fell in love with the city. And that's kind of how Lost to London came about.
Very cool.
And they say that home is wherever your heart is, but home doesn't feel like mine. 'Cause although I live in Dublin, I lost my heart to London.
It still doesn't quite compute that you're like, yeah, I was just over and back to London several times, which for me to leave the country, it's a feat to get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're very lucky with London. It's only like an hour, 20-minute flight, and then it's kind of like an hour when you're coming back. So we're very close.
Yeah. Has Brexit affected you with your travel there at all? Has everything seemed the same? Have things changed?
No, everything's pretty much the same. We kind of have an agreement with England that like we can kind of travel back and forth very easily. So it's like if I was traveling anywhere within the EU, that I can just kind of just walk through passport control. And we're very lucky, I think, in that department. But Brexit has affected us in other ways, with shipping costs and stuff, and
Mm,
getting extra fees charged onto it if it's coming from the UK, which is very annoying.
yeah, for sure. So your song "Fangirl" uh, has currently, I'm looking at it, 458,000 streams. That is quite a
Yeah.
feat. What do you attest your success to for having that many streams?
Yeah, so when Fangirl came out, it was the first single off my EP, which came out last year, and I was kind of, nervous to put out an EP because I didn't know what way people would react, because I'm kind of a pretty much, well, when I was then, it was pretty much an unknown artist. So I
Hmm.
think, I think the Facebook community where we met was have been so helpful, adding to playlists and stuff, and just people like radios picking it up and playing it on the radio, and then people kind of hearing it, adding it to their playlists. I think I've been very lucky in that department with that song being picked up like that. Like I never thought that would be sitting here nearly a year later saying that I had that many streams. It's just insane.
So was there a particular person that you had in mind when you wrote the song Fangirl?
Yeah, there was. So I've actually been a fan of a UK-based band called The Vamps, and I've been a fan of them since they started, which is over 10 years ago now. So I was a kid, and I remember it was 2 years ago, me and my friend, we went to see them live in Dublin, and we hadn't seen them live because obviously COVID, and then they hadn't been in so long, and then we were too young to go as well the last time we were here. So we went to see them, and I remember standing in the crowd and looking at all these screaming, essentially fangirls
Yeah.
screaming about this one guy standing on stage, Brad Simpson, the lead singer. And I thought, God, this guy has no idea that half these people in this room exist. He doesn't know any of their names. He
Hmm.
probably never will either. So I had this idea of being like, he's my everything and I'm just a light in the crowd. So that's kind of where that lyric came from.
Mm.
And then I had that idea for the main riff as well. So I went home and was working on that and was driving everybody insane with this piano riff because I couldn't get it out of my mind, and just went and just blasted through the song and ended up writing it and had to get it into studio nearly immediately when I wrote it to record it. So that's kind of how that song came about and the kind of inspiration from it.
Mm. Yeah, very cool. You're obviously putting in the work and you're getting dividends from it, and that's great to see. You're obviously a very talented musician and songwriter, and
Yeah.
the guys that you're working with, you're producing very professional music, and it sounds great. Um, so could you do maybe a cost breakdown? How much does it cost for you to record a single,
So it
approximately?
kind of depends on the single that it is. Like it could
Hmm.
be anywhere between 300 to five, 600, 700 euros.
Sure.
And then like if I want to do, if I want to get it mastered then as well, then that's an extra fee added on top of that as well. So you're talking maybe another 100 euros or stuff. And then like, cover arts, if I'm not using photos that I've taken before, then it's like, paying for a photographer, which normally is like 250 euros here, which is kind of insane. So I couldn't give you a definite number for
Hmm.
every single, but because they all kind of differentiate between each other. But it would be about, you're talking, on average, maybe 500 euros a song.
So do you have a more independent radio in Ireland?
Yeah, so we've got like our local community radios, they'd be completely, independent and they can kind of pick and choose what they want to play,
Mm.
which is great for like upcoming artists like myself. And there's a lot of new music Friday shows and like new Irish homegrown music shows, which is absolutely brilliant to be able to have that, to get your radios, to get your songs on the radio and get your radio airplay. And then when it comes to like the bigger stations, like when you're talking like your RTE2 FM, which is kind of one of the biggest stations in Ireland, and it works throughout the whole of the country as opposed to just like one little area.
Hmm.
They're kind of more corporatized like that as well. It is very hard to get onto them, but you can get on. They have a new music show as well that you can get on, and then they do pick kind of, sometimes they pick independents to be their track of the week as well, which I've been very lucky to been able to get that twice this year. But it is very hard
Nice.
to get onto them bigger stations.
What would you say has been a highlight of your performing career so far?
So I played in Whelan's in October. So Whelan's would be kind of one of the bigger venues in Dublin. So to get to play that was kind of insane. And I was supporting one of my good friends, Mike, in music as well.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed that gig because, there was a lot of my friends were there and it was a sold out room as well. So it was really, really cool to be able to do that and then play a lot of new music, kind of jumping into what's coming into 2025 as well and getting to kind of showcase that. So I'd say that'd be one of my highlights now.
Nice. When it comes to recording, are you doing any recording at home? Is everything in the studio? How's it work for you?
Yeah, so it's kind of a bit of both. Like I'll do a bit of recording at home and then I go to the studio as well. So I go to a place in Dublin and they're two Australian brothers and I go into them and we kind of work on the song for the day. Like most of what's up on Spotify now in the last couple, like recent year or two have been recorded with them guys, which, I love working with them. They're really great. And,
Hmm.
we always like work on it to make sure that I'm getting the right sound that I think I need for the song. And yeah, so a lot of the times it is studios, and I've spent a lot of time in studio the last 2 years.
Yeah. Um, the other musicians that are on the track, are those studio musicians? Are those people that you've found yourself?
Yes, so they're the two guys that actually record with them. So they're my
Okay.
two producers. So they're they work on the songs. And if there's drums or like guitar solos, because I can play guitar, but I can't guitar solo that well.
Sure.
So I'll kind of come up with something and give them the idea. Like I might write it on a piano and say
Okay.
to them, can you guys figure this out on the guitar? And they'll do that. And then drums, you kind of have a rough idea of what way to do it, but I can't play drums for the life of me. So
Yeah.
I always get them to kind of work on it, especially if it's live drums. Like I can program drums all day long, but
Hmm.
putting live drums on it is like, it's just not for me.
Yeah. What program are you using to record at home?
So I'm losing a mixture between GarageBand and Logic Pro as well.
Okay.
So I think the two of them are really, really good. I'm really enjoying kind of getting to use it. And I think they're very user friendly as well,
Hmm.
which is always great.
Yep. I completely agree. That's what I use as well. So is there something that you have coming up that you're really excited about?
So at the moment, I have planned for a new single, which will hopefully, all going well, be out in January, February. So I'm really, really excited about that to come out for people to see it. And then there's a lot of music that I recorded this year that hasn't been put out yet and
Mm,
hasn't even been teased online. So that will be all dropping in 2025, which I'm super excited for because it's a new era kind of for me. It's a new kind of genre, it's a new style, it's
okay.
a new take on lyrics and stuff. So I'm really excited for all that music to come out next year.
Yeah. You seem to be taking the single release strategy. Is that because you want to kind of drip feed the market, or is that just kind of how it works with the way that you're recording, that you to just do singles at a time?
Well, it's kind of a bit of both. Like sometimes I'll have just one single ready to go, and then other times, like now, I'm sitting on about 4 or 5 singles that are recorded, ready to go. So what they could be the guts of an album or an EP sitting there to be released. So I did
Mhm.
the EP last year. So this year I kind of decided to, work on the singles, as opposed to pushing another EP or an album. So I'm hoping maybe in 2025 we might have another either EP or album, but I think the singles have been kind of working really well this year because it kind of takes a
Yeah.
lot of the pressure off then as well, as opposed to, promoting a 7 track EP and trying to get it all on radios, trying to get it out as much as possible. So I've been
Right.
really enjoying kind of releasing the singles this year.
Hmm. What are some of your music goals? Do you are you currently signed to a label?
No, so I'm actually currently an independent and I would absolutely love to be signed to a label. So that's kind of what my goal is for the next couple of years, to work as much as I possibly can to
Hmm.
build up my portfolio, my profile to kind of hopefully sign with a label. That's kind of the dream.
Yeah. Are you doing music full time?
Yeah, so music full time. I'm also studying in music college as well. So just to
Oh.
help me a little bit more, I'm studying
Mhm.
songwriting and music management. So I'm really, really enjoying that so far. So music has just become my life now
Yeah.
completely.
Very. So what marketing strategies are you using to promote yourself? Are you doing sponsored posts? Is there a pay for play industry there where you would like you pay essentially to open for other musicians? How does it work?
Yeah, so I personally don't pay for anything because, like I said, I am in college. So
Hmm.
doing music full time and being in college, there's not much pay in that at all. So I'm kind of pretty much broke all the time. So
Yeah.
I kind of don't pay for anything. It's kind of just what I do myself. So I do a lot of, just posting on Instagram daily and TikTok. Like I've been very blessed with TikTok to be able to just promote my music there and gain. I've got like 10K followers now on TikTok just from,
Yeah.
posting videos constantly. Like I haven't paid for any promotion on Instagram or TikTok. There is an industry in Ireland where you can pay for PR. So
Hmm.
you'll have a PR rep working with you to, get you onto radios, to get you the top spots. But I can't afford that, unfortunately. So I kind of
Sure.
just do it all myself. But I've been very lucky to be able to get some of the top spots just by doing it myself and, working at it and just sending 200 emails a day.
Yeah.
Like it's frustrating sometimes, but, it has to be done.
So, and talking about your music goals, so we already talked about signing with a label. Are there any particular venues that are a goal for you to play at?
Yeah, so definitely in Ireland, there's the biggest kind of arena in Ireland would be the Tree Arena. So I would absolutely love to get to play in the Tree Arena. And then if I could go international and just really come up with a mad dream, I'd love to be able to play in Madison Square Gardens one time because like
Sure.
it's just a huge venue and I just think it's amazing. And I hopefully one day I will get to, even if it's just support, I'd love to just be able to say I played the stage in Madison Square Gardens.
Yeah, that is a lofty goal for sure. Very cool.
Yeah, it's a very big dream, but sure,
Yeah.
you may as well dream it because if you can't dream it, it'll never happen.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Where would you say you're getting the most interaction with your music? Is it on TikTok? Is it Instagram? Uh, what's
Yeah,
working
I
best
think
for
it'd
you?
be definitely TikTok recently, especially since I kind of jumped into the more rocky Arctic Monkeys kind of vibe.
Hmm.
I think Instagram loved the pop, but TikTok, when I started promoting the Can't Say I Love You when it came out last year, that just really seemed to take off in TikTok and people kind of really started enjoying it and stuff. Like I put up a video about the song coming out and ended up with 30K views on that video and something like 1.5K likes, which was kind of insane because I kind of averaged out at about 100, 200 likes per post. So to
Yeah.
see that kind of reach out that far, I think it'd definitely be TikTok. Like I post a lot of, even if it's just covers or like just performance videos on TikTok or even just silly TikToks that I'm making,
Yeah.
just walking down the street singing to my song. I get
Mhm.
a lot of interaction there now.
Yeah. So how often are you gigging live now?
So I've done a lot of gigs now this year. So we're kind of heading into the Christmas period now. So I've kind of wrapped up the gigs for 2024. Now, having said that, if something comes up in the next couple of weeks, I probably will end up taking the gig and doing it.
Sure.
But I do kind of gig at least once or twice a week as much as I possibly can.
You know, what's the model for musicians in Ireland to get paid for doing live music?
Yeah, so it kind of would be a mixture of kind of two things. Like if you're doing a support act for an artist, you're being paid directly by the artist. But if you're being hired by a venue, then they're more than likely just going to pay you themselves.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a mixture between the two. And then we're very lucky as well that we have our public performance royalties as well. So any live performance that we do, we can claim back our royalties that are owed to us as well, which is great. And that kind of is great. It adds on to the extra money that you'll get paid from a venue. So it kind of goes between the two. Like recently, I've been doing a lot of supports, so I'm getting paid directly from artists
Yeah.
as opposed to venues. But at the start of the year, I did do a few kind of, pub gigs and kind of just venues, and they were paying me directly. So it's kind of been a mixture of both for me personally.
Gotcha.
I think a lot of artists would probably say the same similarly here.
Very interesting. So there's a public performance royalty. This is completely new to me. So when you play, out somewhere live, you're able to. Where does that money come from?
Yeah, so basically in Ireland we have a CMO, which is a collective music organization.
Mhm.
And basically what they do is every venue or every pub, every restaurant, every bar, anywhere in the country, if you're playing music live or
Mhm.
you're playing it from Spotify, you have to pay a subscription. So the place that we pay to is a place called Imro. So basically what they'll do is they'll collect all the royalties and all the rights for the artists. So if my song was played in a shop 5 doors down from me or anywhere in the country,
Mhm.
then they would take what I'm owed there, the royalties, and then they'd pay it directly back to me. So it's the same with when I'm performing live. Like if I'm playing in, say, in Whelan's in Dublin, if
Yeah.
I'm playing in one of their rooms or playing a venue in there, I just basically upload that I'm playing in this room on, say, the 26th of January
Mhm.
and I'm doing this song, and this song, and then they'll basically go get the royalties that they're owed because they're paid by the venue, and then
Yeah.
they'll pay it directly back to me as well, which is absolutely amazing that we have that there. I think a
Yeah.
lot of musicians don't know much about it in Ireland, but I think
Mm.
it's kind of starting to be pushed out a little bit more because the royalties are there, so people may as well, claim back what they're owed.
Absolutely. Yeah. Royalty checks for independent artists are not a thing in the U.S. at all. Uh,
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
not at all. So it's
Yeah, we're very lucky. We've got a lot of organizations here. Like we've got IMRO and then we've got another place called RAP. So it's basically
mhm.
if you play guitar on my song and you were living in Ireland, you could claim royalties for playing guitar on my song for every time it's played on radio or Spotify, which
Yeah.
is like really, really good.
So I guess we kind of have that when we do have some performing rights organizations, but most of that is kind of trying to shake down these venues. Like there's not a set fee. Um, I don't want to name drop any of those particular organizations, but they each individually go out or go after even our local venues here, and the fees are astronomical. So they'll send,
Right, yeah.
lawsuit paperwork saying, "Hey, you owe us $15,000 a year to
Wow.
have a TV on in your restaurant," and it's wild. So it's we don't have any sort of government-backed organization that is handling that. It's all private companies, and it's even the fees that they do claim, those don't get distributed to the artists really at all.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
like we're very lucky with that now.
hmm
Very, very lucky because like you might be stuck once or twice a month and like you get paid, I think it's every 3 to 4 months a year, which is
yeah.
great. So you'll get a few extra euros in the bank account at the end of the month, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, what's a dollar amount for that? Like it could is there a set amount, per play that you're doing live, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting topic. Like it's different for venues. Like I could play a sold out show in Whelan's and I could make 15 euros for it if it's a half an hour set. Or I could play in another pub in Dublin and I might get 2 euros for the same amount of set. So it kind of depends on the venue, which is a bit odd. And then also if it's a ticketed event as well. So if
Mm,
I think it's something like 10% or 15% of the ticket sales will go to the support act as well as, the main act getting the venue money as well, which is kind of a bit insane that you can actually do that. I've kind of only really discovered that in the last couple of months. I knew about the public performance royalties, but didn't know that we could claim part of the ticket rights, which is great. So it's
that's
yeah, I don't think there's a set fee, but like it is good that it's there.
absolutely. Yeah. It's blowing my mind. Like we don't have anything like that at all. Uh, yeah. So the U.S. is kind of anti-government in a lot of ways. Leave me alone. Let me, don't tread on me. Let me keep my guns. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we don't have. Yeah. So just the idea of the government actually supporting musicians is completely foreign to me. That blow my mind. So very cool that you guys have that. So you mentioned before that you're going to be kind of changing styles again. Do you think is there something that's driving you to do that, or is it just your own musical evolution?
I think it's kind of my own musical evolution, when I started out, I was predominantly listening to pop music. There was still that kind of, rock influence there.
Mhm.
But I think, in the last couple of months, I've really delved deeper into the rock. Like I'm more listening to, Arctic Monkeys. They're a huge inspiration. They always were. But
Mhm.
for me, I never thought that that sound would suit me. So when I did Can't Say I Love You, that kind of like I seen the reaction from people and seeing that people really enjoyed it and kind of could relate to that kind of sound.
Mm.
I thought, maybe I should, continue with this. And I think over the last year, I've been really kind of evolving the sound and trying as much as I possibly can to, include other kind of styles. So now it's kind of like a multi-style genre kind of coming into one single, which is a bit insane. I probably wouldn't have done 4 or 5 years ago, but now it's like there's lots of different genres coming into play. Like Lost to London was a pop rock song.
Yeah.
Can't Say I Love You was a rock song. I
hmm
have another song that'll be coming out next year that it's kind of like a country rock song, which is
All
so
right.
out of what I would have brought out before.
Yeah. So when you say country rock, is that more American country, or does that mean something different for you?
Yeah, so it'd be kind of like, Bon Jovi kind of style. It started out as a predominantly rock song, and
Mhm.
then we added in a kind of Western kind of guitar solo into it to just give it that kind of Western feel to it, while also having, heavy drums in it, still heavy bass kind of stuff, and then adding an acoustic guitar into that as well. So it gives it that kind of country Western feel,
Yeah.
while also still having that, predominantly rock throughout the whole of the song.
Yeah. Right on. So what is motivating your songwriting? Is there a particular subject that you're interested in? Is it more relationships? Where's that in
Yeah,
that?
so all my songs kind of come off of what have happened. So if you listen to every single one of my songs that are out on Spotify,
hmm
you can kind of pinpoint there's a story, there's a beginning, a middle,
hmm
and an end, and you can kind of hear what's going on. You can kind of tell from the song. what happened because it's something that happened to me in life, and then I just write about it. So that's kind of where most of the inspiration comes from. Like recently, I've been really kind of, working on lyrics and kind of working on a song. And like you can see, but even with the stuff that came out this year, they're following pretty much a similar kind of time frame. They're in the same kind of time frame of each other, been written around the same time. And then they're also kind of following the same kind of storyline as like, being in love with someone or having a relationship kind of with someone, and it's there, and you can just kind of see the evolution of how that can go from being like one minute you're like I can't say I love you to then a single that came out in June that was just let me be, and then obviously lost to London. You're saying that you lost your heart to the city kind of type thing.
Hmm. So you talked about the Arctic Monkeys. You even mentioned them by name in the song "Can't Say I Love You." Are there any other bands in that genre that you're interested in?
Yeah, so Arctic Monkeys are probably the main, but I listened to recently a lot of Green Day. I went to see
Okay.
them live in June this year in
Yeah.
Dublin, and they're just insane live, insanely live band. I always loved their music, but had never seen them live. But seeing them live, I think kind of just made me fall more in love with the band. I think they're
Sure.
just really, really good, and like their sound is like it's evolutionized kind of throughout their whole kind of career, and
Hmm.
the fact that they're still going and still able to sell out gigs is just insane. And then like obviously I said Bon Jovi before. I
Hmm.
used to listen to a lot of Bon Jovi when I was a kid, like always, like I used to be living on a prayer mad as a kid.
Yeah.
So I think them three are kind of the main ones that would be there kind of sparking this inspiration for the more rocky kind of vibes.
Yeah.
We should be together, but I can't say I love you, 'cause that's just something we don't do. I can't make it obvious that I am falling hard for you, so I keep dropping hints using Arctic Monkeys lyrics. Should we be more than friends? 'Cause you can be mine, 'cause I wanna be
Yeah. Do you have any plans to try to join a band or start a band of your own?
So there's actually a little bit of news in that department. So as I mentioned, I'm in music college, so I'm
Hmm.
very lucky that now I've got a lot of friends who, play music and stuff. So hopefully in 2025, when I'm back performing live and doing headlines and stuff, it won't be just me and a guitar anymore, or me and a loop pedal. It'll be me and hopefully a band. So that's all exciting stuff to be coming in 2025.
Very cool. Right on. Certainly looking forward to that. Well, Taylor, thank you so much. This has been a great talk. It's been very informative to me, to talk to somebody outside the country and see what the music scene is like there. Very excited for what you have in store.
Thank you, and thanks so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on.